Story 1. People are generally kinder to you. This does not mean they are specifically attracted to you. It reflects a bias toward conventional attractiveness. Story 2. I assume from the disgusted and confused looks on the faces of people when I say hello that I am so unbelievably attractive I am short-circuiting their brains. That also explains why they run from me or douse me with a fire extinguisher. Do not hate. Story 3. Seeing all these comments saying, "People will tell you," makes me realize that, outside of my current girlfriend and my family, I do not think I have ever heard that from anyone. Story 4. When strangers of the same sex often tell you the same thing, you start to think it must be true. I think I am pretty, but not as pretty as others say. I make a point of telling other women I think they are pretty or complimenting their outfit or hair. I like the way the confidence boost feels, so I try to share it with others. Story 5. As someone who has glowed up over the past few years, the biggest thing I noticed is that people will try to get your validation more often. Story 6. Girls turn and walk in the other direction when they see me. I guess they think I am way out of their league. Story 7. When I am kind, people automatically assume I am flirting with them. I am only moderately attractive. I cannot imagine what it is like for naturally beautiful people. Story 8. I am an ugly motherfucker, but in France I had this very good male friend who was just ridiculously good looking. Walking along, I would feel invisible beside him as women would smile at him. Some even came up to him and gave him their number. Life is so damned unfair. Story 9. When I was young and prettier, I always thought the greatest compliments came from a random gay man. It made me feel beautiful because they really meant it when they said so. They did not want anything in return. Story 10. I know I am attractive because everyone shuts their windows and brings their children inside when I saunter into town, probably because they feel ugly in comparison. Story 11. Children, teenagers, and adults may tell you, or they may simply stare. A child calling you pretty is the best because children are usually very honest about such things. If you are ever unsure, ask a group of children. Story 12. My mother told me I am her handsome little man, so I must be attractive. Story 13. I am always told that by this very handsome man in the bathroom every morning. Story 14. People leave little gifts at my door. My dogs cannot stop staring at me. I pass out if I gaze in a mirror for more than a second. Pray for me. Story 15. I am not pretty, and neither is my husband. We have always felt like ugly ducklings, so this is bizarre for us. Our young daughter is, and it really freaks me out. Ever since infancy, she has had a natural charisma and magnetism, as well as astonishingly beautiful features and thick golden hair. People will not leave her alone. My spouse and I constantly have to deflect unwanted and persistent attention from both men and women. People try to touch her as she walks by, corner her to touch her or talk to her, try to pick her up, get her attention, and go out of their way to give her free things or dote on her. We used to keep a mental tally of how many times somebody stopped to gawk at her, comment, or try to make contact. We are very overprotective. Now that she can voice her own opinions, we are firm that she controls who is and is not allowed to touch her. She does not have to give hugs or high fives, and she does not have to talk to people or accept gifts. She is strong-willed and has the backbone to say no. We hope that as she grows, she will become socially savvy and street smart, which will protect her from the advances of the world. Story 16. I am not conventionally beautiful, but my best friend is gorgeous. Usually, wherever we are, men and women hit on her and are extremely nice to her. When you have an attractive personality and you are not unattractive, like my girlfriend, at first no one really notices, but as soon as you start talking, everyone is charmed, especially other women, and they ask you many questions just to hear you speak. Let us be honest. Looks matter, so a great personality needs to be paired with at least average facial features and body. Story 17. When babies can't seem to take their eyes off me, even while their parents are talking to them, they keep looking my way as if I'm the most interesting thing in the room. It's funny because I have never seen myself as the standard of beauty. Story 18. I walk around casually, and men look at me. Someone talks to me randomly at least once a week. For example, asking for my social media information or to grab coffee together. Story 19. Depends where I am, honestly. In Northern Europe, I am pretty average. If I go to the South, women from all sides flirt with me just because I am blonde, and that is exotic there. It is the same in Asia or any other place where a Nordic type looks exotic. I am also quite tall and muscular, which helps. Story 20. I hit the weights and look good in a t-shirt. I don't shy away from my principles and I treat people respectfully. I find that attractive. Therefore, I am. Story 21. Whenever I ask a woman out on a date, she starts to laugh. Story 22. Personally, I think I am average, but wherever I go, I always get compliments. I also get catcalled and many strange looks almost everywhere. Story 23. People smile at me in the most random situations. At least that's what I'm assuming. Could also be me being weird, to be fair. Story 24. My wife is very beautiful, and all my exes were also very good-looking. Gay men often compliment my appearance, and it took me a long time to understand the appeal. Story 25. As a man, I noticed that women would always look at me and smile. Story 26. People tell you in subtle ways. They will not, for the most part, say you're cute, handsome, attractive, or hot. Instead, they say things like, I like your clothes or style, I like your hair, you have nice teeth, or you have nice skin. Because, let's be honest, a 5'4", 300-pound person with acne and greasy hair is not going to get compliments about their teeth, even if their teeth are perfect, because of everything else. Story 27. People are generally honest, and I rarely get rejected when I ask someone out. I receive compliments on my appearance regularly, especially from women, which I take as a good indicator. However, I try to stay humble. I know the only reason I'm attractive is the effort I put into myself. I used to be much less attractive, and the only reason that changed is that I decided I wanted it to. Story 28. I get hit on every time I go to a bar. Men whistle and call out to me when I walk down the street. I was serenaded by a complete stranger once. That was an experience. I grew up looking different, so it took me a couple of years to realize I was getting prettier. That did not come from strangers on the street. Good friends had to tell me honestly, you are really pretty. Once that confidence was there, the compliments skyrocketed. It is more about owning your beauty than anything else. Story 29. A man who constantly receives compliments on all of his outfits. Story 30. People keep smiling at me wherever I go, even when I do not give them any reason to. Story 31. Women tell me this with fair regularity. I read a lot on Reddit and often see complaints that men do not get compliments. I usually receive a comment about my appearance from women about once a week. Some of those simply tell me I am attractive. I will not complain. Story 32. A few years ago, I was often told by random girls and friends that I looked good. I was confident and fit then, and the girls liked that. Then I became depressed, and because of my medication I gained some weight. Since then no one has said that, and for 2 years no girl has been interested in me. People let you know when you are attractive, and if you know that you become more confident, which makes you even more attractive. Story 33. My wife finds me attractive, and that is all that matters. Story 34. If an attractive person compliments you, then you are attractive. Story 35. My grandmother always calls me a handsome young man, so I guess that's how I know. Story 36. Oh, and everyone thinks you're hitting on them when you're just being friendly. Story 37. Not me, but my daughter. She was told she was attractive and received constant attention from about 11 years old. Raising a pretty child is very challenging, especially keeping her safe. She is now 43 years old and still attractive, but thankfully things have calmed down. Also, if you are attractive, people often remember you after meeting you only once. Story 38. As a straight man, I never found online dating very difficult or frustrating, and I only ever swiped right on women I found genuinely attractive. I do not have much money, and I am not over 6 feet tall, so it cannot be that. My self-image is poor. If you ask me to describe myself, I would say I look like a bad sketch artist's rendering of Andy Samberg. Story 39. Hearing it from people of all races, ages, and sexes confirmed it for me. Story 40. Some of you who are commenting clearly need to work on your personalities. Laughing out loud. Story 41. I'm a woman, and throughout my life women, both strangers and acquaintances, have often complimented me on how pretty I am. I have never thought of myself as conventionally attractive. I have never received nearly the same amount of attention from men. I'm not sure what to make of it, but the compliments from women always stick, and I try to return the favor to others. Story 42. I do not necessarily think I am attractive, but I guess there have been indicators that I might be. 1. People who do not know each other independently tell you that you are attractive. Strangely, multiple unrelated people have called me Travis Scott. They meant it as a compliment. I look nothing like him. It would have been more flattering if they had compared me to a different rapper. 2. You get treated differently when you are in a group. People can be nicer to you, less suspicious, or even protective toward you without knowing you. One experience I found unfair but also kind of funny was when my friends and I were sitting near a friend's house at night. Someone complained that people regularly smoked where we were sitting. About 8 police officers showed up out of nowhere. They told us about the complaints and then searched us. My friends were searched thoroughly, but when it was my turn, they simply asked what I had in my pockets. I showed them my phone and a key. They only patted my front pockets and did not check the back pockets where I had taken my key from. They were noticeably nicer to me while my friends were treated with some hostility. I think this was partly because I was slightly younger and had an innocent-looking face. 3. Women sometimes flirt with you and ask for your number spontaneously. I have not had that happen recently, so maybe I am becoming less attractive. 4. People, especially women, are nice to you and try to start a conversation when there is no obvious reason. Story 43. If someone does not directly tell me they find me attractive, I usually rely on how they look at me and how they treat me or behave around me, regardless of their gender or sexual preference. When you are attractive, people can be nicer, kinder, or more tolerant toward you, and they may go out of their way to show even a passing interest. There is a difference between someone being simply friendly and being friendly because of your looks. That kindness often comes from a desire to gain something from the exchange, as small as offering a compliment or trying to make a good impression, even if the encounter is brief. Story 44. This might sound self-indulgent, but when I feel down, I dress up and go out specifically to receive compliments. Only recently did I realize that not everyone does. Story 45. Women continue to make advances in inappropriate settings. Workplaces, nurses' offices, police stations, therapy sessions, dental clinics, and business meetings. Story 46. Random children look at me and smile. A girl about 4 or 5 years old told me I was beautiful while she was cycling and I was buying eggs and bread a few years ago. Since then, I gained 21 kilograms and later lost 12 kilograms. Children are honest, and I trust a child's opinion more than an adult's. Story 47. I once dated a bombshell, one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. Men would stare at her and try to talk to her when I was not nearby. When we were out together, women would stop her and literally tell her she was gorgeous, then look at me as if I were a Cronenberg prototype. I would laugh. I consider myself average to above average in looks, but the contrast between us clearly surprised outside observers. As a man, I have received only a handful of compliments that stuck with me. I know I am not extremely attractive because I have a friend who is, and people regularly start unprompted conversations about his looks. It is astonishing how prevalent lookism is in so many aspects of life. Aesthetics can trump logic, rationality, and even morality at times. We need to be aware of this, men and women alike. For those who feel discouraged by the current dating scene, I think of the times I was with extremely attractive women despite my own looks. If I can do it, you can too. I will add that personality and self-confidence, by which I mean knowing your values, principles, and what you want, matter far more than looks. Looks are the icing on the cake, velvety and enticing. They demand immediate attention. Your personality, including your interests and your view of yourself and the world, are the layers of the cake that everyone will spend the most time relishing. Story 48. I am so attractive that people are afraid to approach me. When I approach them, they become intimidated. Story 49. When you're in a relationship, people are always trying to set you up with their friends. Story 50. I am a 32-year-old man and have been working as a bartender for 6 months. Most weekends, women from about 24 to 45 years old make it clear they are interested. Casual encounters are easy. I had no idea my other male coworkers were rarely approached. I assumed it was a perk of being a bartender. Story 51. People compliment me a lot, often strangers. They mostly compliment my hair and my smile. Sometimes they simply tell me I am pretty. Men have always liked me. They talk to me easily, smile at me, and find ways to touch and hug me. I am friendly, bubbly, and non-threatening. I do not see myself as attractive, but I can tell others are attracted to me. I have always thought of the old adage that a moth is attracted to a flame. The flame is bright and warm and draws you in. When you are filled with light, love, and warmth, people are attracted to that. By the way, I am 45 years old. The overly flirtatious young men have slowed down. Story 52. I just finished my first semester of college, and I can genuinely say that many more people want to be friends with you. You arrive with an advantage because people reach out to get to know you, to ask if you want to be friends, grab something to eat, or hang out. People are more likely to sit next to you in lectures, talk a little, and then ask for your Instagram afterward. I don't know. It makes the social scene much easier to navigate since I'm starting fresh. Story 53. My therapist made me realize this by asking whether people ever use my appearance against me. She said that if I had any obvious physical flaws, the world would point them out, if only to use them against me. Story 54. Interested people will be shy around you. They make brief eye contact and may try to touch you lightly. An immediate sign is that they laugh at your silly jokes. Story 55. People fawn over you. For instance, they tell me I am smart when I have hardly spoken or say I have a great personality. Both are true, but because I know my strengths, I can separate the chaff from the wheat. People say what they think you want to hear to get in your good graces. Story 56. I was jogging when a beautiful woman walking toward me looked me straight in the eyes and gave me a broad, honest smile as I passed. That made my day. Story 57. I receive compliments on my appearance from strangers and people often do a double take. Not in a shocked way. You can tell when that reaction is friendly. But there are darker versions. I have been followed off trains multiple times by men I do not know, and I immediately worry for my safety. I experience persistent flirting even after I make it clear I am in a relationship and not interested. Eyes follow me around a place and keep returning in an unsettling way. For example, at the gym or while grocery shopping. It is not always a good thing. As someone who values personal space and avoids drama, it makes everyday activities difficult. Story 58. People tell you that when I was younger, men at traffic lights would wave and ask for my number before the light changed. Story 59. I have been offered money for nude photos. Either I am attractive or I am in a niche market. Story 60. I love myself. I used to tell myself I was hideous and said other things. Once you start loving yourself, you realize you are not that bad. Story 61. I became attractive during puberty and noticed the change. That was also when I started working on myself. I used to be very shy, so I worked on my confidence. I think I ended up attractive and confident. Story 62. I know I am not considered attractive anymore because I used to be. By attractive, I mean features that catch the eye immediately. Hair, a fit body, a six-pack, clean straight teeth, and good posture. As I have gotten older, I have gained a lot of weight. My retainer broke and I could not replace it, so my teeth shifted, and my hair has nearly fallen out. The first thing you notice is that people speak to you differently in everyday interactions. The second is that you have to go out of your way to catch someone's eye rather than keep it. Story 63. I thought I was attractive but did not want to seem conceited. Women would look at me and smile, but none ever spoke to me. I tried talking to women, but they usually just laughed, and I assumed I was ugly. Gay men would hit on me all the time. What made me realize I was attractive was when I got tickets or parking fines or had to pay other fees. If the person handling the ticket or payment was a woman or a gay man, the fine would be waived or I would receive a large discount. Story 64. It can be hard to evaluate your own attractiveness. If you think you can judge others' attractiveness, look at your dating history and close family members. Have you dated attractive people? Do you have siblings who are attractive? Did your parents look attractive when they were younger? Story 65. As a child, I was told I should be a model. I think it was more because I was tall and skinny than because of my facial features. I started hearing that as young as 10, and those comments have never gone away. Men have randomly hit on me wherever I go. I have had men follow me on the highway for miles, trying to get me to pull over and give them my number. I do not view myself as more attractive than the average person, and I do my best to wear modest clothing most of the time because it helps reduce attention. Story 66. I take so many shots I am bound to find someone who likes charming, well-endowed, single, straight men with a sense of humor and all their teeth. Story 67. I know I am attractive when random kids and some older women tell me I am pretty. Honestly, I feel so much better getting compliments from kids than from people my own age, which makes me laugh. Story 68. I get grabbed by random drunk women who either try to flirt with me or directly assault me by forcing kisses. I stopped clubbing years ago because it was not worth it. It still happens when I am with friends, but much less frequently. Story 69. I lived in Southern California, where I was a 6 at best. I moved to Washington, where I am easily an 8. Like real estate, it depends on location. I know this from the women who flirt with me and give me their phone numbers. Marrying a gorgeous woman confirmed it. Story 70. It started to become obvious after I had my front teeth replaced. After years of hockey and likely some inbreeding, I had lost many teeth. When I got the crowns, although they were not a perfect color, people started to look at me differently. I had a bounce in my step and a certain je ne sais quoi about my demeanor. This coincided with me finally beginning to get serious about my eating disorder, and I lost almost 87 pounds in 1 month. There is a long way to go, but I can feel the way people now gaze at me with that lean, hungry look. Attraction is a journey, and I believe I will soon have someone to orbit around me instead of getting that gravitational push. This comment has been vetted by my legal team for accuracy. Story 71. Women, especially younger women, sometimes call me a dad I would like to have sex with. If I am talking with a woman at work, a man will often come up and say that she was all over me and that I am such a smooth bastard. I do not think they would say that if I were not attractive, but maybe they would. Story 72. Look in the mirror and stop seeking approval from others. Story 73. I have to wear a mask and pretend I am someone else when I go out in public. Otherwise, I would be torn to pieces by rabid desire. Story 74. Women have always come to me, like kittens to cream. It has been a burden. Story 75. I'm a guy. Multiple women have asked me out. I have been catcalled, had my butt grabbed, and been hit on while on a date. I have also been hit on by gay men. That was a nice confidence booster. At least I used to. I'm working on getting back in shape after a rough couple of years. Story 76. I would not consider myself conventionally attractive, but picking up social cues when interacting with people is a good indicator. Confidence, strong interpersonal communication skills, and eye contact can all enhance how others perceive you. When you notice people enthusiastically engaging with you while you are making limited effort, it is usually a sign they see something. That is especially true when others in the same environment are not receiving similar attention despite sustained effort. Story 77. Attractive men are respectful, sweet, flirty, and genuinely kind toward me, while women and less attractive men are unkind, catty, and plainly mean bullies. Before my glow-up, attractive men were unkind and mean, while women and less attractive men were very sweet and friendly. Story 78. People ignore me because they are too nervous to talk to me. I am stunning. Story 79. You will naturally be able to speak to anyone. People who are considered unattractive do not have the same effect. Story 80. I knew because several attractive women told me so. It mattered more when a stocky man who I think was Polish told me I looked good. I do not fully remember. He may have wanted to recruit me for a promotion or for his business. I am not a catwalk model and I am very short. Story 81. I have heard it my whole life. Several people, even strangers, have commented on my looks. It makes me a little uncomfortable anytime I have to talk about this. Story 82. People give you signals all the time. Could be a cute kid or a creepy guy driving by slowly. When you scan a room, people look at you and then look away, or they try hard to make eye contact. I have been asked if I am a model a few times, and I have modeled for my friend's small business. Another sign is when people almost run into you or think they are in the way. They say sorry even if it is nobody's fault. They also laugh at your jokes too hard or too early, laughing out loud. Story 83. Men are extra nice to me, and women are extra mean to me. Story 84. When you are standing near a couple, the person of the same sex as you seems irritated by your presence. Story 85. Thankfully, I feel reassured by romantic partners. I don't need to be considered attractive by society's standards when the person in front of me looks me in the eyes and tells me I'm attractive. Story 86. Not sure if I'm hypersensitive to it as a woman, but I can always feel people looking. Mostly men. I also get a lot of women staring, but I can't tell whether they hate me or admire me. People sometimes get flustered when talking to me and fumble their words. It can be cute. But on days when I do not want attention or am not feeling confident, I hate when I can feel people looking at me, even if it is admiration. Story 87. When I was younger, it was all the guys doing double takes followed by smiles. Story 88. I never had sex on the first date, and I dated attractive women even when I was broke. Story 89. I find myself attractive. Older women used to hit on me when I was shy and awkward. I hate my younger self. I am not trying to make myself look good. This is based solely on my self-image. I cannot say that others would think the same. Story 90. It is not that everyone is attracted to you, but most people notice you. Story 91. You get random stalkers and people being too friendly. Story 92. People are nice to me. They also go out of their way to interact with me. Story 93. I get a brief double eyebrow raise when someone glances at me. Everyone is very polite at the gym, but it is a micro-expression most people cannot seem to shake. Story 94. This may sound conceited, but on days when I am feeling it, when I have a great hair day and my clothes fit perfectly, I walk around with more confidence. I can feel people looking at me, and it makes me feel incredible. Story 95. Girls do not even look at me. People usually do not look at the expensive items in a supermarket because they know they cannot afford them. It is the same with girls and me. They think they cannot afford me, so they do not look. Story 96. I don't know if this counts, but in the past 7 days I've had to reject 3 men who each told me I was pretty. There is nothing wrong with them. I'm happily single and not looking for anything. Story 97. When I was younger and not very confident, only my family would tell me I was pretty or that I looked nice. They had to say that, right? As I got older and was exposed to beauty standards, I realized I resembled those people, which gave me some confidence. But it was only when I became comfortable with who I am and developed solid interests, ideas, and traits that people started approaching me and I could tell I was attractive. Strangers began complimenting me, asking for my secret, asking for my number, and offering help with things I did not need. I went from pretty to desirable. I do not think people would approach me at all if I were still unsure of myself. I think they like that I know what I want and that I carry myself with an attitude of not caring what people think. Confidence is everything. Whether you think you are attractive or unattractive, you are right. I would say fake it until you make it, and one day you will find you are no longer pretending. Story 98. I am not fully sure I could call myself attractive, but I like to think others do. Story 99. It feels strange for me to say because I do not have the best self-esteem, but 3 things stand out. First, people seem almost annoyed when I say I look average. Second, I receive compliments constantly. Third, others assume I am well off. 2 people in the last week or 2 told me I look like I have a lot of money, but I am actually poorer than I have ever been, laughing out loud. This is very confusing for someone who used to be bullied for their looks. I often assumed people said things like that to be polite or to get something from me, but I have discovered that this is not the case. Story 100. Honestly, I can see my features. They are very symmetrical and balanced, with no large nose or other prominent features. Story 101. I am a 34-year-old man with long, good quality hair. I usually keep it tied back for work and let it down about once a week. When I let it down, I notice a huge difference in people's immediate reaction to my presence. Instead of a "some dude" response, they react with "whoa, nice hair," and it is much friendlier. I am still unsure whether I am attractive, but I think my hair makes a big difference in how people perceive me. Story 102. I am often told I am beautiful whenever I go out. My perspective on beauty changed when I went to Hong Kong. My sister and I were attractive in our own ways, but when we were there we saw many seemingly flawless girls, and we both felt that we were not really that pretty. Story 103. I knew I was attractive. I got free stuff and attention, and I got away with things I should not have. I did not need to flirt or sleep with anyone. I could simply exist. I'm married, by the way, and I do not wear clothes to show off. Some people hoped I would get a divorce because they wanted to be with me. Many of my male friends had feelings for me or wanted to sleep with me. That is why I do not have male friends or post pictures of myself on social media. I was sexually assaulted by a male friend and was almost trafficked at a concert. When I became pregnant, all of that changed, which was really nice. But I also miss being fit. Story 104. I am on the positive side of average in a cute, if that is your type, way. I clean up well and have been in very good shape at times. When I was in my mid-20s, I was complimented almost every time I went out by both men and women. The most attractive I ever felt was when I was approached by a man and a woman within a few minutes while walking down the street. I laughed. When I go out in public with men I am dating, they tell me when people are staring at me or when other men give them the nod of approval for being with someone good-looking. I do not do fancy hair or makeup as much anymore, but a few strangers have approached me and told me I am pretty with my bare face. Story 105. I know I am attractive. The problem is that everyone else does not seem to know it. Story 106. I watched a man in Italy crash his Fiat because he was too busy watching me ride my bicycle on the sidewalk. Story 107. Compliments from gay people and women are nice, but compliments from children feel different. A girl of about 5 to 7 once told me I looked like Belle from Beauty and the Beast about 10 years ago, and I laughed. That was the best compliment I had received until my own child called me guapa, which means pretty. That really makes me smile after my self-esteem takes a hit. Story 108. When I lost a lot of weight in college, I was anorexic after some mental health problems, and suddenly I mattered to extended family. I was invited to more events and received compliments. After I recovered and gained more weight than before, I was treated terribly again. My aunt told me, "There is nothing good about you. You have no positives." My grandmother went from telling me I would be someone someday to telling me I was the reason my brother tried to kill himself. Story 109. I have noticed that it is much easier to make acquaintances than to make friends. When I became attractive, I noticed people were more distant. It clicked when I talked with another attractive friend about this phenomenon we both experience. Being overly attractive seems to intimidate people, and they can develop inferiority complexes without you realizing it. I often feel inferior when talking to other attractive people, which makes it hard to work up the confidence to start conversations or ask someone to hang out. I am bisexual, so it can be especially hard to make friends because many people I meet are attractive. I feel helpless. Story 110. People continue to talk to you even when the conversation is about to end. Story 111. I am neurodivergent and did not know I was attractive until my second wife repeatedly criticized me for not turning away women who were flirting with me. After that marriage ended, I joked about it with my first wife, who said I was very handsome and all the other women present agreed. I have trouble judging whether people are being honest with me, so I remained unsure. At 58, several women half my age have flirted with me and I did not notice. When my adult daughter is present, she glares until I ask what, and then she points out that I was being hit on. I think most people are attractive, but many attractive people simply do not realize it. Someone has to show them the evidence. Story 112. I was better looking when I was younger. I was 15 and on vacation when I received more than 200 compliments from different strangers in one day. During that time, I was groped by at least 20 people. I was invited to 3 parties and people paid for my meals. A couple of girls took pictures of me and said I was their boyfriend. One girl in an amusement park line kept clearing her throat, made several accidental touches, and apologized to start a conversation. Oddly, when I returned to my hometown, people would grope me but refuse when I asked them out. At minimum, I was an 8 out of 10, and I grew up being told I would be famous someday. Now that I'm older and height has become more emphasized, I'm seen as less attractive because I'm a little short, though not by much. People can be nicer now, but they are more annoying when all you want is to be left alone. Story 113. Strangers do a double take when they see you in public. You can tell by their facial expressions and body language when you enter their line of sight. You will also be told that you are attractive. Story 114. Strangers on Reddit keep sliding into my direct messages after every comment I make here. This post alone might crash my inbox. Story 115. I have not seen anyone say this yet. When you walk up to a crowded bar, bartenders often take your order before others. It is a privilege and I do not always use it, but when you do not want to wait 20 minutes to be served, it is a perk of being attractive. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.